What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Emory Hunter Czar, the playbook here on the Talk Your Talk podcast on the Aboriginal Sports Network. Lock in.
What's going on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to another episode, special episode of the Talk Your Talk podcast with your boy Big Pat Sports Talk and my special guest, Emory Hunt from CBS Sports, football, draft guide, football game plan. Man, he's been doing this a long time, and I am just elated to have somebody in the game that's doing exactly what I want to do. So, Mr. Emory Hunt, man, let them know who you are and let them know the things that you're working on so far before the NFL draft.
Just trying to continue to pump out this information to folks, and we just released our football game plan 2025 draft guide, which people can go get at footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. Over 1,200 individual scouting reports, the largest draft guide that's out there. No one can top that. We've been saying that for 6 years running because every year we've topped ourselves, and this is the largest one we've put out. And in addition to that, we have over 50 CFL draft prospects in there as well, because we know the CFL prospects end up on these NFL rosters, training camp or preseason or whatnot. So they can go get all of that at footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. And they can always follow me on social media at FBallGamePlan. You'll see me all over CBS Sports HQ during the draft, especially on day 2 and 3. And also on CBS Sports Network, talking NFL draft prospects coming up next week.
Okay, man. Hey, listen, followed your career for a long time. You started off with the Giants to CBS. Man, what got you into this game as far as promoting sports, getting into sports? Like me and my partner, NYG, we're getting into that game, just coming from the Senior Bowl. I actually met you at the Senior Bowl, which was dope. What made you get into this game, and how did you earn the respect that you have in this game?
I think it's all just about being consistent, man, because I played college ball. Career was shortened because of injury. So you still have a lot of football left that you want to sink your teeth into. So after I graduated, I went back to New Orleans, coached my old football team in high school, and was doing that and was loving it. But then I jumped into corporate America, and Katrina hit, which moved me from New Orleans to New York City area. And so while I'm doing the recruiting up here, it was, I was loving it. I was successful at it, but football was still pulling me back in. And so in 2007, I was like, I got to figure something out about how I can scratch this football itch. So I started football game plan in 2007 while I was recruiting. And that gave me that feeling again of like, man, being able just to talk ball. And in 2009, we realized, like, man, more people would probably rather watch than read stuff. So YouTube had just jumped on the scene, and my background was in communication. So I went and got the camera equipment set up in my apartment at the time, and we started broadcasting YouTube videos right there, doing previews, and it got a huge following. Then in 2011, we started doing podcasts. Before anybody knew what a podcast was, we had call-in shows and talking ball, finding with the video. And back then, people were clowning me. In 2009, I was so proud of what we was doing. I was like, man, I got a football show. There's what channel? Like, it's a YouTube channel. Oh, it's on YouTube. And then in 2011, it was like, oh, I got a radio show too. What station? Well, it's a podcast. Oh, it's a podcast. Oh, what's that? And now look at everybody. You know what I'm saying? YouTube and podcasting is the way to go. So that's what helped us start out early. And it just staying consistent, because people used to see me before. I'll never forget, I was sitting in a restaurant. This was like 2011. And somebody was like, man, I recognize you. I'm like, bro, I'm not even from here. There's no way you know who I am, bro. Like, there's no way you recognize me. He was like, man, you the dude from YouTube. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, how'd you know? He's like, man, I'll be on a Jets forum and you post your videos in there. I was like, my man, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't realize how much people watch it, but those little numbers at the videos that was growing and growing, real people, so that's how people started. Man, I ain't gonna watch this 4-hour TV show on this major network because they only gonna talk about my team for 20 seconds. This dude over here giving me 5 minutes of the breakdown, a real breakdown of the game, whether he pick us to win or lose. I'm gonna rock in with him because he giving us 5 whole minutes. And so I did that for every team in every form. So that kind of became my thing. Then I started to add stuff that I saw wasn't on TV. I started drawing plays up on how I would run the offense or the defense. Then I started doing the draft prospects. So all of that stuff started adding on. So people started to realize, like, oh man, this dude really about this football stuff at all levels. And that's how it just kind of grew and grew. And next thing you know, I started getting approved for credentials to go to games, training camp. First NFL team that approved me was actually the Philadelphia Eagles. So I was going to, because I was covering, I go down there and cover a Temple game on a Friday night or Saturday night, stay over, then go to the Eagles game that Sunday. And that's before the Giants got me into the building. And once I got in there, it was a lot closer. And then it was like, all right, I could rock here. And then just started to build from there. And then boom, things started to take off.
Man, you know who you sound like, Mr. Hunt? Me and NYG. We try to do the same thing. Man, we cover the Giants, but we're breaking off. We're covering a lot of teams. I've been doing film reviews for the past 3 years. Love doing some film reviews. If you ever want to break down some film, man, I'm definitely right there to break down some film with you. I love doing that. And yes, we're starting to get credentials and things as well. That's why I was so excited to see you out there. I was like, man, this brother, I remember when he used to do the Giants. He out here doing this? Okay, cool. And so you're just an inspiration to guys like me and NYG who are trying to build something over here with the Aboriginal Sports Network. And it's been an absolute blast. I love the grind of it. I love the work of it. And you have to have a passion for it as well, because I have a passion for it. I played defensive tackle and fullback in high school. My arms were too short to go to college, so they was like, nah, we can't put you at defensive tackle. I'm like, y'all could at least let me play fullback, but it is what it is. But what position did you play in football? You said you played a little bit of football as well.
I was a running back, man, and it was interesting because at that time, I was a big Herschel Walker fan. I was a big I love Marcus Allen. I was obviously a big Bo Jackson fan. Barry I liked to watch, but I knew I could never do what Barry was doing. I agree. And so I was just a big fan of the game, and so I was a running back.
Okay, that's what's up.
I can see that too. You kind of look like a running back, yeah.
I mean, y'all see me in person, so
that's what I was saying. Yeah, you gotta look like running back.
You hit the hole, and by that time it was too late.
Right.
But hey, just having a passion for this game and just seeing people that's done this at a higher level, man. You on TV, you're on CBS, and I'm definitely gonna get that draft guide because I'm actually in the process of trying to create one as well. But it's always good to see that people that have already done it and show you how things are going. And I always give people their credit. So when I do create one, after looking at yours, I will definitely give you your credit because I definitely want to see how you did it. And I have a form of how I want to do it, but it's always good to see other people doing that's already done it, what you're trying to do. But you guys got a little bit of the history of Mr. Emory Hunt, man. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to talk about some NFL draft prospects, Mr. Emory Hunt. And you got a couple of people out there that I like to talk about, especially Arkansas quarterback. I had to look at him after you did that, and I was like, you know what? He's on to something. So we'll be right back after these messages. Check out the Draft Journal right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network. We'll be right back with Mr. Emory Hunt. Draft Journal. All right, that's the Draft Journal right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network. We are back with Mr. Emory Hunt, and you know it's the NFL draft season, so we're going to get some of the prospects that Mr. Emory Hunt has his eyes on going into this NFL draft, man. Who are some of those guys that are underrated in your book?
Well, you talk somebody that grades so many prospects, so there's a lot of names. I would probably just start with some guys that are probably a little bit more well known to folks, but guys that I've been talking about. Lan Larison, the running back out of UC Davis, reminds me so much of how he plays of like Christian McCaffrey. You know, just a smooth runner, elite level receiver, 5'11", about 210, can fly. And this dude almost had a thousand season this year at UC Davis. He had over 1,000 yards rushing, but had like 890 or something receiving. So he was putting in work out there. He was a go-to guy. Got injured in the postseason, so he didn't participate in any postseason All-Star games. Because he would have lit it up. He would have been one of those guys everybody's talking about. And watching him just straight do his thing consistently over the course of his career, he was, to me, one of those backs that you was like, okay, I can't wait to see him, at an All-Star game. And if he would have been able to get to an All-Star game, he probably would have been, at the combine where he would have blazed a fast 40, which he probably did at his pro day recently. So he is one of those guys. And defensively, I would say Elijah Williams, and I'm a little bit biased for him, defensive tackle out of Morgan State, because I've called at least half the games in his career, because I do a lot of Morgan State games, especially the home games, and watching him dominate at the point of attack, it's crazy. And he's 6'2", 290. I was on the broadcast when they played Norfolk State, and there was one series late in the game. It was a crucial series in that ball game, and he made all three plays. On first down, he got the TFL. Second down, he was able to knock the ball down at the line of scrimmage after getting pressure. Third down, got the sack. Like, it was the Elijah Williams drive. And he set the record for sacks at Morgan State. As a defensive tackle, he is someone that can play from the 9 technique all the way down to the nose. And it's just fascinating to see someone like that just dominate. When we was at the HBCU Legacy Bowl, I would say every first rep against an offensive lineman that he went against in one-on-ones, the offensive lineman ended up on his back. So that's the type of talent that you kind of want to get on your football team, whether he gets drafted or not. That's what I like to see from a guy, playing at a smaller school level, but was out there dominating.
Okay, those are some interesting prospects. And speaking of the HBCU, they call it the HBCU Combine. Definitely would like to get there too. I would love to go to the HBCU Combine because they don't really get the pub and shine that they're supposed to. How's the experience actually going to one of those?
It was good, man, because what they've done is actually unique and pretty dope. So it's in New Orleans, and it's the week of the HBCU Legacy Bowl. But on the beginning part of the week, they have the HBCU Combine. So that Monday, it's the HBCU Combine at the Saints facility. So you're watching these guys go through all the drills that you'll see them do up in Indy. And it's unique because some of these guys are not on the HBCU Legacy Bowl roster. So you could only see them at the Combine part. Some guys are in both events. So you'll see them, go through the Combine, but also practice during the week. And that's a great showcase for them. And it's a great experience. You get, it's just those guys down there. Ideally, I would rather the game be moved up a little bit because it butts up against the Combine. So, you'll see scouts leave midweek to get ready to go to Indy because next week is the Combine. So, usually when I'm leaving that event, I come home that Friday, swap out a suitcase, change, wash clothes, and then Sunday I'm off to Indy. You know what I'm saying? So that's how tight that schedule is from the HBCU Legacy Bowl to the Combine.
Yeah, I think things like the Legacy Bowl should be showcased a little bit more because some of those guys in those HBCUs, man, they are actually really good. You got a lot of Hall of Famers from HBCU, some nice Hall of Famers from those colleges that actually do damage in the NFL when they get their shot. So you're a former New York Giants, or you still write for the New York Giants. Who are some of the prospects that you've looked at? You say, hey, the Giants got this guy, man. It can change what these guys do, because we got to do a little bit for the Giants fans, since everybody knows you from writing for the Giants. Who are some of those prospects that you see?
Well, it depends on, let's say if they pick at 3, if the Browns pass on Shedeur Sanders, you kind of have to take Shedeur Sanders because that's the guy.
Thank you.
And so even though he don't need to sit because he's pro ready, but you can't pass on a future franchise quarterback. But let's say the Browns do the right thing by their depth chart and take Shedeur Sanders. I think you take Travis Hunter right there at 3 because he can play on both sides of the ball. And I think you let him play on both sides of the ball because he's actually going to play less on both sides of the ball as a pro than he did in college. You know, in college, he played like 100 plus plays. You don't get that many plays in the NFL. And he's not going to be your number 1 corner or your number 1 receiver, which makes it even better. He could be your starting corner and probably only play 30, 40 plays. Then on offense, he's probably your number 3. He's probably going to play 15, 20 plays. He's getting a significant break as a pro than he did at Colorado. And so you kind of, and the reason why you're drafting Travis Hunter because of what he does on both sides of the ball. So you don't want to not draft a guy and make him not Travis Hunter, right? So I say take him at 3. And then, you know, I know people I talked about Milroe going to the Giants in round 2, but now that may have been blown up because we saw that they're inviting Milroe to to Green Bay for the draft, which tells you somebody may take him in round 1. So somebody may take him or somebody's going to trade up. So that was the way I was going to try to gain the draft for the Giants. Take Travis Hunter, trade back into the back end of the first, get Milroe to pair him up with Brian Daboll, which makes sense now because you got 2 veteran quarterbacks and you allow Milroe to work behind the scenes, tighten up his technique or whatnot. And, you know, if you feel like in year 2 he's ready to go, then you don't have to re-sign one of the 2 QBs. So I think that would have been great. But, you know, we talked about defensive line. Ty Robinson out of Nebraska is a good player. Tyler Beatty, BYU. So any one of those guys help both the defensive line, and then we just talked about a quarterback potentially, and also Travis Hunter.
Okay. Let me ask you one question. About the running backs, because you play running back. What running back in this draft do you think is a good compliment for the New York Giants to Tyrone Tracy?
Well, if you look at how Tracy plays, right? Again, you give him some leeway because he's a former receiver turned running back. And, you know, you saw some of the good part of his game last year as he's still getting acclimated to playing the position. Had only played it 1 year at Purdue. So this was his second full season of playing running back. Firstly, he has to protect the football. Can't put the ball on the ground like he did last year. So if he looks like more of the stable guy that could run with power, but also show some ability to obviously catch the ball out of the backfield. But you want to pair up a true lightning rod behind him, right? And I think when we talked about earlier, Lamb Larison would be a perfect complement. Marcus Yarns, who y'all guys saw at the Senior Bowl, another one of these guys that can really fly and catch the ball and run, that pairs up perfectly. I know people want to see a bruiser back, but I kind of feel like you can get that from Tracy. He's got good size, good physicality. He can run. So you don't really want to kind of compound, you know, that style of running. So I say lean more into the faster guys that can kind of be paired around him.
So you think Tyrone Tracy could be that guy that we could depend on to get those 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s as far as those short yardage situations, going in there, pushing the power forward? You think he could be that guy for the New York Giants?
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's a common myth that the bigger you are, the better you are in short yardage goal line situations. That's not necessarily true. It's really about footwork. And so if you got the quickness and the lateral ability, you could be a great short yardage goal line back, especially around the goal line. You know, I know people will think that these bigger body guys would just move guys out the way, but they have that higher center of gravity. They're easier to hit, and they're easy to stop their feet at the line of scrimmage. So you can kind of get good gang tackling going on there. So it really depends on the back. So you don't necessarily need like this big pounder, this big 225, 30-pound back to get 1 yard. You can get that same 1 yard with guys that are, 5'8", 209, right? It's just all about vision, footwork, and leverage.
And I understand where you're coming from, because I do believe Tyrone Tracy has very good vision and very good feet. He bounces in and out of cuts like he's pretty doggone good. Another guy that I like is Johnson from Iowa. Is it Caleb Johnson? I think that's his name, from Iowa. Looks exactly like how Tracy is. But yeah, I do see where you're coming from. Like, get that explosive back. We might already have it here, and with Turbo Miller, you just got to give him a shot. Might already have him here.
I thought that was the plan last year, because he was in the draft class last year. He was at the College Gridiron Showcase, and you can clearly see the type of speed he had during those 2 days of practice down there in Fort Worth. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be a nice day 3 pick. And then the Giants just signed him. I was like, oh, that's right. He didn't play college ball. He played, I think, 1 game. So he was actually ready to be signed as opposed to having to go through the draft. And then we saw him out there at training camp, at the one play wheel route where he just like blew past the guy down the sideline and caught it over his shoulders. Like, oh, I could see the plan. They're going to pair him up with somebody, and then they barely used him.
Yeah, that's just what we do, man. But yeah, he was in the same situation as Kavontae Turpin, the guy we got signed to the Cowboys. He didn't play college ball for a year, and so we were able to get him signed to the Cowboys on a 3-year deal. That's what the Giants did with Turbo Miller. But getting past the Giants, because they always do crazy things. I don't know what they be doing sometimes with players. Who are some of the receivers that you like in this draft?
Again, like that's a lot of names. I would just go with some of the guys that people recognize, right? Tetairoa McMillan, Arizona, big body guy, great hands, elite level hands. Travis Hunter, elite level hands, excellent receiver. I know let's just say for the Giants perspective, if you're looking at what they have a lot of, they have a lot of guys that are like Travis Hunter in terms of like the slender built speed guys, highest Slayton. Neighbors got some size on it, but Neighbors explosive guy. They need a big body guy. So Tet McMillan is a good fit. I like him. You look at Alec Ayumanor from Stanford. Big body guy, catch and run guy, but physical. Higgins from Iowa State is another big body receiver. And so when you get kind of mix and match what you have out there on the field, along with what you already got in tow, it makes your receiving core much more versatile and a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, I one guy that I'm doing a little bit more study on, and I actually think he will actually help this offense tremendously as a number 2 receiver, and that's Trey Harris from Ole Miss. He's starting to come on a little bit more. The more I look at him, he's not A.J. Brown, but he's close to it. And if you could get him to focus on those little drops that he has here and there, he actually can turn out to be pretty doggone good. And Ole Miss has been putting out some receivers that are pretty decent. So that's one guy I will keep my eye on. Maybe you can get him early 3rd. Maybe you have to trade back up into the 2nd round to get him, but he's pretty dope. But, man, as far as the whole thing with the draft guide, tell them about the draft guide, where they can get it, and how did you come with the idea of creating a draft guide?
But they can get it at footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. And you can just click, and boom, PayPal, boom, there you go. And it's a PDF file in your folder. Check your spam. And it's right there at your fingertips. If people have purchased my draft guide since 2020, right now they would have over 5,400 individual scouting reports at their disposal. So we have given folks an encyclopedia volumes of scouting reports. And how it came about was simple. My guy Gene Clemens, who you guys know, was always saying, "Hey man, you need to do a draft guide." But I was like, "Man, I don't have the time to put together one." And I didn't know if I wanted to sell it because we did paper books before. In terms of like books that we put out, we wrote one book in 2014 called Stiff Arming Football Myths, where we attacked like 50 of the best myths in football, like playing at home or away matters, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying, and just knocking out these myths. We did that. We did football, a love story. We interviewed over 100 coaches, players, entertainers, people that have a connection to football and what they love about the game. That was a great book. We had What Did Football Teach Me? With the same 100-something people. We asked them about what the game taught them. And so at that time, I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do a physical copy and try to get it to go into Barnes & Noble somewhere, or digital, because I'm like, man, people could steal digital stuff. And I was always hesitant. So template's ready to go since 2018. I didn't start doing it until 2020 because COVID had all us sitting inside. Okay, now we got the time to put this together, because what I was doing on YouTube, I'll watch the film, grade it. I'd keep paper notes and I'll just put the number grade on the YouTube video. So when I used to get tired of people asking me like, man, I see your grades came out. Why did you have this guy here, and it's hard for me to go back and forth and comment on everybody. I was like, man, let me just put my written notes. If I'm writing it, I might as well just type it. It's easier. And that way I could just save the grade and how I came about it. And boom, I didn't realize how easy it was till I started to do it. And that's why I did it in 2020. But it was like, oh, I should have been doing this since 18 when Gene told me.
Right.
Now we rolled it out, and every year we just got bigger and bigger. And because we go to all these all-star games, all 8. And
man, y'all go to all 8 of them?
8.
Oh, goodness.
8 of them. So that way we seen a lot of prospects. And then we put it all in the guide, pump it out there.
That's what's up, man. Y'all go get that draft guide, man. I'm definitely going to cop me a copy, because I got to see some of these grades that you have on some of these players to see if we have a similar mindset on some of these guys, man, because I love the whole draft process. But let's talk about the regular season, NFL season. Who are some of the teams that you are looking at to, maybe surprise some people in the NFL this season? Who are some of those teams?
I'm always a glass half full guy, so I don't think teams are as bad as people may indicate, or as their record may indicate. Like last year, on day 3 of the draft, while I'm in studio, they asked me, well, who's a surprise team to come out of nowhere to win, that's going to surprise team, right? Worst to first type team. I was like the Washington Commanders, based off them drafting Jaden Daniels. And it was like, oh, they had the number 2 pick. And so the tweets out there, the videos out there, so people go look at it. But I was like, Washington, and didn't blink. I was like, they got a quarterback now that's going to elevate the play around. So they weren't as bad as picking 2nd overall may indicate. So with that being the backdrop, a team that picks Shador, team that picks Cam. I don't think the Titans are that terrible. Titans win a lot of games last year. They
Will Levis cost them a lot of them games.
Cost them like 3. Like 6 plays for Will Levis cost them like 3 plays. Like, that was a winnable division. You know what I'm saying? For them, even with Houston in that, right? So the team is going to be better than people may think, even with a rookie quarterback. If the Browns take Shador, that whole division might go to the postseason. That's how good that AFC North is. And I also think, the Saints aren't as bad as people may indicate if they get healthy, number one, because that offensive line was up. And quiet as kept. If you talk to defensive coaches around the league, Spencer Rattler didn't play half bad because he was never out there with the starting receivers. Like, Olave was out. All the other receivers were out. So he was out there with backups and a backup offensive line, but he still showed enough to where you can say, hey, man, we don't have to take a quarterback at 9. Kind of could rock with this dude who was good at the Senior Bowl last year. He was the MVP and also played well his last season in South Carolina. So I think and Carolina is another one too. I think all of those teams are going to be vastly improved this year, which is why I love the draft process. It adds talent, but when you look at the regular season, these teams have a chance to really show you that they weren't as bad as people may in the Jets too, because people sleep on how good Justin Fields is. When you watch the Bears, when he was the Bears, you never came away saying they lost because of him. When you watched him in Pittsburgh, you never realized, they lost because of him.
No, he actually played well in Pittsburgh.
He played well in Pittsburgh, and so I think the Jets got themselves a chance to be a true sleeper in the AFC East.
You asked about the young quarterbacks, Mr. Hunt, and a lot of people, they have their evaluations of these quarterbacks. They're all over the place. It seems to. What are the things that you look for in a franchise quarterback that are the most important?
How you play situational football. That's third down offense, backed up offense, red zone offense, in the game situations, need to have it situations. If you're excelling there, because that's all what quarterback play is, that's all what NFL quarterback play is. If you're tough, all of those things, that's it. If you got that, then I can roll with you. Notice I didn't say anything about height, arm strength, speed, because all of that stuff will fall in line. But you better have these core traits. And if you don't have those, you won't win, which is why I catch a lot of flack for my quarterback rankings. People thought I was crazy in 2012 when I had Russell Wilson as the third quarterback with a first-round grade behind Luck, RG3, and then it was Russell Wilson, and then that was it. People was like, there's no way. This dude's 5'10", blah, blah, blah. He ends up being what? Looking back on the best quarterback out that class, right? Then if you go to 2017, it was Watson, 1B was Mahomes. Nowhere in that top 5 was Mr. Trubisky, but a lot of those major people had Trubisky number 1. People were saying Watson wasn't good, and they were saying Mahomes coming out of a gimmicky offense, and now Watson before he fell off was a legit dog, and we know what Mahomes is. 18. When people asked me all these Cleveland radio shows, the Browns had the first and fourth pick. Asked, what would you do with those 2 picks? I was like, well, number 1, I'm taking Saquon Barkley because I know I can get the best quarterback at number 4, and that's Lamar Jackson. And I'm going to lead the league in rushing for the next decade. Thought I was crazy then because Lamar was my number 1 quarterback. Now look at everybody, right? So 2020, it was Burrow and my number 2 with a first-round grade, Jalen Hurts. It was like, ain't no way this guy is a quarterback. Now look at where we at. So the reason why I'm saying all of these things is because they all have those
intangibles that you look.
That's what you look for. You got to have that dog, that it, and that's the it. But people always want to focus on, the ancillary things. That's fine, but when it comes down to it, the reason why those dudes win is because of those things.
Yeah, I mean, being clutch. Being able to get your team out of situations when you're on your own 10-yard line to at least get it to where the field position switches. Third downs, red zone. Red zone is putting up points. You want to put up touchdowns instead of field goals. Clutch situations. It's the 3rd and 5. 4 minutes left to go in the game. You get this 3rd and 5. You can take the clock all the way down and end the game. Can my quarterback come up in those situations? That's why I believe that you believe what you believe about Shedeur Sanders. I've seen him do it. His whole college career, I've seen him do it at Jackson State and Colorado with a bad offensive line. And then the weapons, he didn't have a tight end, but I will give that Travis Hunter, LaJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn, and Shepard. They were pretty good. I will say that. I'm not going to take away from what they did on the field, but it's not like he had a bevy of weapons out there. He had no running game whatsoever. So some of the sacks that he was taking is because he was trying to make plays because he knew that, hey, if I don't make this play right here, it could be over against this good team. So that's why I want the Giants to draft him at number 3 for those exact things. I said people like Spencer Rattler were going to be way better than what people were giving him credit for. I said he has some of those intangibles. You just got to put him in the right situation. If he gets his mind right and not be super arrogant, because he had an arrogance that was bad. Now, you can have an arrogance about yourself, but you can't be that arrogant where you just think you're the baddest thing walking. Ain't nothing wrong with you, But when he calmed that down, he actually got it pretty well. And I think he can take over for the Saints for Derek Carr. But, yeah, a lot of people don't understand the intangibles part of the game. They just look at arm strength and they look at speed. And, if he has arm strength and speed, he's going to be great. Well, Jay Cutler has some of the best arm strength you will ever see. When he came out in that draft, I said, that dude's not going to be good, bro. He doesn't make good decisions. And Josh Allen was like that in the very beginning until he got taught on, calm it down a little bit and then turn it up when you have to. So, man, I love the draft process, man. But besides Shedeur Sanders, who was another quarterback in this draft that you think that has those intangibles?
Cam Ward. I watched him since he was at Incarnate Word. Same situations. You know, that's the guy that also can handle the pressure. And we saw him do it at 3 stops more so than anybody else, right? He was excellent at all 3 stops. He wasn't, average at 1, average. No, he was excellent all 3 spots he was. I think Milroe has some upside because of his mental makeup. There's somebody that, won the academic Heisman, military kid, got better every year. His 2022 season was not good at all. And then he got better in 2023 to where they won the SEC, outplayed Carson Beck, had that great 4th down and forever Hail Mary. Not really Hail Mary because it was a dime, like deep back corner throw to Isaiah Bond for the winning touchdown against Auburn. And then you saw him work through a whole new offensive system this season. So because he wants to get better, smart dude, somebody I would be willing to gamble on. And I'm also a big fan of Brady Cook too, because everybody talks about those intangibles of toughness. Well, look at Brady Cook. Look at how he handled his time at Missouri. And you talk about somebody that played a lot like Andy Dalton did at TCU when they went on that run and had TCU in the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. And it was scrappy. They was beating all these big teams. Missouri is the same way with Brady Cook. This dude has a never say die attitude. And all of those things yield itself to guys being able to handle the rigors of the NFL and play really well.
Yeah, I like Brady Cook too out of Missouri. Him and Luther Burden were a pretty good tandem out there. And he does have that, hey, look, he has that moxie about himself that you can trust him when it comes to clutch situations. When you watch his film, that's a sleeper quarterback in his draft too. But we are going to take a quick commercial break. We are still here on the Talk Your Talk podcast with Mr. Emory Hunt, and we're going to be right back right after these messages. Hey, check out New York Giants Full Access right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network and on my personal channel, Big Pat Sports Talk, and we're going to be right back.
4, 3, 2, 1, connect!
Thank you guys for tuning in, and look,
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
welcome to New York Giants Full Access. Cool. That's New York Giants Full Access. You can check that out on Big Pat Sports Talk channel. And that's me right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network as well. So we're getting close to the end of the show. Mr. Emory Hunt, he has a lot of things that he has to do. And thank you for taking your time to come out here and do your Talk podcast with us. NYG, you have any more questions for Mr. Emory Hunt?
Nah, man, it was a pleasure speaking to you, Mr. Hunt. Definitely big fan, gonna get that draft guy for sure. And just thank you for taking the time to speak to me and my brother Pat.
Yeah, that is true. Last thing I'm gonna ask you, man, what are some of the things that you have coming up as far as being on the CBS network and any other things that you have coming up? Let the people know where they can find you. And just let them know what you got going. So in the future, besides the NFL draft, I know you're going to be at the NFL draft.
Oh, they won't see me in Green Bay. There's nowhere to stay in Green Bay. They'll see me on day 2 and 3 on CBS Sports HQ talking the NFL draft. So I'll be down there in Fort Lauderdale for day 2 and day 3 of the draft, and even the Sunday afterwards, the post-draft recap stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Did that last year. Next week, you'll be able to catch me on CBS Sports Network on Inside College Football, talking, the draft. We got 3 shows we're going to film. So be on the lookout for those coming on CBS Sports Network. Excited about that. Love that crew that I work with there. But they can follow me on Twitter at FBallGamePlan. Instagram is Football Game Plan. YouTube.com/Football Game Plan. And again, go get that draft guide, man. FootballGamePlan.com/2025 draft guide. And again, the largest draft guide in existence. It is no fluff. It's over 1,200. There's 1,256 pages. And
that is crazy.
Wow.
It's 1,250.
That's a Bible.
Right.
It literally is. And it's 1,210 prospect scouting reports. So the other pages is like the transition page is like, oh, here come the running backs. Because it's all just scouting reports. That's it. So you get exactly what you need, exactly what the info you want. Because when it's week 9 and somebody gets signed and and it has to get thrust into action, you don't care about that 3-cone and their vertical jump. You just want to know what he can do, what he can't do. It's all filet, no fat, man. So footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide.
Man, hey, listen, go cop that draft guide, man. You see
Right
he rubbing
now.
his eyes because he's been putting in work for the past 4 months creating this draft guide for you guys. So show some love and go cop that. I'm definitely going to see it because I love the draft. So I'll have no problem going through each one of those players and looking, just comparing notes to see what I have. But this has been the Talk Your Talk podcast with my special co-host, NYG22, Unpopular Opinion Sports, with Mr. Emory Hunt. Hey, I got Mr. Gene Clemens and Emory Hunt right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network. Hey, maybe we could do something in the future, like a show in the future. You never know where you'll find us. We're going to be somewhere talking about the NFL draft. But thank you guys for tuning in, and peace.